Hey. You are correct. You win.
Hey everybody, this is Everything is Fine with These Ruins Sideshow Review. And we are finally back.
Finally.
Doing another review. Unfortunately without Greg, but today we have Chapple.
Hello.
And me, Tristan, your other host.
Yes.
The other beautiful...
Replicant.
No, I'm not! It's a possibility.
Come here, I've got this gun.
No.
It shoots exploding bullets.
No! I don't want that!
Yeah, you do.
No, fuck no. That's not cool.
It's really cool. Have you seen that gun? It's amazing.
That's a really cool gun.
Yes,
it's a really cool fucking gun. I want like 4 of them.
I don't think you need 4, but okay.
Ryan Kingdom's campaign, I'm gonna get like 4 of those.
Yeah.
Probably do that.
Yeah, okay, I'm gonna start that campaign up again.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Go roll some money, okay.
Anyway, we watched Blade Runner.
Yes, we did. Not for the first time, my god.
No, God no. This is like my 3rd, 4th time seeing this movie.
Oh god,
now.
I couldn't tell you how many times I've seen this movie.
Yeah, it's
I've been watching this movie. I watched a whole bunch of movies. Like, it was a big thing for me and everyone back home to do movie days, right?
Yeah, of course.
This is one of my all-time favorites. It was just also a movie I put on when I was doing stuff.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's quiet enough that you can actually just leave it in the background and still
Soundtrack's phenomenal.
Well. Soundtrack is great. Yeah. We'll touch into that in a little bit, but Blade Runner, movie,
amazing movie,
set in 2019.
2019, folks. You got 4 years until LA has covered with exploding smokestacks all over the place.
Takes place earlier than Johnny Mnemonic, which was 2020.
Yes.
We only have 4 years.
I wonder if they planned that.
I don't know. Probably not.
Oh man, LA's already screwed. Let's plan Johnny Mnemonic so it's the same place a year afterwards, and all the Neo Tokyo stuff's gone.
Well, still kind of there.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 2019, and humans have genetically engineered replicants, which are basically your bioorganic robots.
Yep.
They have basically robotic components, but they're mostly organic.
Yep.
But they are only given 4 years to live.
Roughly 4 years, yeah.
Roughly 4 years.
Yep.
And the idea here is that 4 replicants have escaped space.
6 replicants.
That's right, yes.
It is 6 replicants that escaped from the Mars colony.
Yes.
And they hijacked a cruise ship to get back to Earth.
Yep. I believe one of them is stated in the theatrical version to have died. In the director's cut is 2.
Yeah. The one we were watching was the director's cut?
Yep.
Okay, no, in the director's cut, one of them died as soon as they landed because they tried to bust into the Tyrell Corporation.
Yep.
And then the other 5 were out and about.
Yeah, there's actually a cut, a director's cut.
We'll talk about the cuts of this movie in a minute. Yeah,
that's part of the trivia. But so basically, it focuses on 4 replicants as your main villains.
Yep.
Who are being hunted by a man, Rick Deckard. Who is a Blade Runner.
He is a Blade Runner.
His job is to hunt down replicants and retire them, if you will.
Yes. Because you don't kill things that are synthetic, evidently?
Yeah, I mean, you can't kill a synthetic android. You have to,
I disagree. But we can talk about that in a bit.
Well, morals are a different thing here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Rick Deckard, hunting replicants. And the idea here is that he's not really coming out of retirement, per se, but he's been you can tell he's been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I don't know if he was actually retired, but they said, you need to come do this. And he's like, well, I don't want to do it. And they're like, well, you have to.
Yeah.
So it seems like he's basically left that task force. Like, he's not a Blade Runner, but he still might be a cop.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really the point, but it's kind of alluded to, and it's a little bit gray.
Yeah. It appears that he's possibly some sort of either private eye or he's doing some other jobs on the side, but he used to be, at the very least, a Blade Runner.
He used to be a Blade Runner. The best.
The best one.
He's the best. Turn in your badge and your... No, wait. Here's your badge and your gun. Go do this. It's the opposite of the trope, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's given a task to hunt down these 4 replicants and find out what they're doing here on Earth and take them down.
Take them down. Primary, take them down. If you can figure out what's going on, then woo, I guess.
Yeah, very much.
Yep.
So this is a neo-noir cyberpunk film,
Yep.
mostly neo-noir.
Exactly. It's we were talking about this before, but this movie, first and foremost, is a neo-noir detective story.
Yep.
But it has cyberpunk elements in it, and it does them so well that it's basically like the cornerstone for what it is. For that examination of life with technology, where technology is so deep that you can't tell it apart.
Yep.
Literally, that's part of the movie, is you can't tell it apart.
Oh, yeah. Yep, it's true. So basically, in this movie, if you go back to last week and listen to our cyberpunk podcast, we do touch on some of the things that are important to the cyberpunk genre, like transhumanism and those kinds of things. So the replicants, like I said, are bioengineered organisms, and that doesn't mean that they have memories, they have thoughts.
Well, they have implanted memories.
They do, yes.
Yeah, implanted memories.
But they're there.
They are there.
So for all intents and purposes, they are human with some exceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into a big discussion about what is human,
That's the thing, yeah.
But the movie draws a line that anything that's synthetically created is not a living organism. It is a piece of property, like a doll on a shelf or your cell phone. It belongs to someone, whoever made it, until they sell it to someone else.
Yeah.
So that's the line the movie drew, so we're just going to stick with that for now, because the other one is a point of discussion that can go on for an entire episode and of itself. Yeah.
It basically just comes down to Philip K. Dick versus Isaac Asimov at that point, so...
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the whole, like, Philip K. Dick, the Isaac Asimov, and, who else were we talking about before? William Gibson.
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
Oh, and don't forget Osamu Tezuka.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah. Like, it's great. Like, the key, like, sort of architects of these genres are all... They're tied together in little bitsy ways that are really interesting, that if you dig through IMDb and Wikipedia and other fan pages, there's so many cool little connections between all these writers and directors and stuff. It's just fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, you want to talk about some of the stuff you didn't like about the movie?
Yeah, let's go into the bad and good.
Okay, so bad things in the movie. The movie was designed to be a specific style of movie.
That's true.
And that movie is thought-provoking, image-inspiring, long shots that have great composition.
Yep.
But there are some parts of the movie, especially by like today's standards, where it has moments where it seems very dry and it feels like you could skip ahead like 15 or 20 frames and not miss anything.
Yeah.
But the idea is to immerse you into this sort of like get you. Yeah. Words work; they really do. Is get you in the scene, right?
Yeah.
And watching one of those movies, even other movies that do a lot of the same things, like Apocalypse Now and stuff like that, they have a lot of the same long, dry shots.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel great unless it's the movie you want to watch. That's one of the negative things for the movie, especially when you show it to someone new, as an like adult who didn't grow up with these kinds of movies.
Yeah.
Or like Rory. Imagine Rory not ever seeing this, because he's 23 maybe?
23 or 24, roughly, right there.
Showing him for the first time?
Yeah.
Like, Rory might like it because he likes this genre, but he also...
Well, he's read Andrew's Dream of Vector Sheep. So.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, his age category of person, they might not like it because there is the dry spells in it or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're not super excited about the movie when the plot is described to you, that might be a negative turning point.
It's true, yeah. I mean, like, for me, being a huge fan of cyberpunk and just detective stories and that kind of stuff, anyway, it's right up my alley.
Yeah.
But it is hard to get into. It's a dry movie. That's the thing. Despite the fact the movie is wet as fuck, but
because figuratively and literally,
because neo noir is just filled with rain. There's nothing but rain everywhere. That's actually one of the tropes that happens a lot in cyberpunk films. That everything is just fucking wet at all times to make it look shiny and slick, and greasy.
It's to make it look like pleather.
That's just one of the stylistic ways they do things. But it
is.
Yeah, like this movie is dry. Like, it's a dry story where you need to be in the mood for this kind of movie.
Yeah, like, it's not that the story itself is dry, it's that there's these little sort of moments in between where there's just
I see what you mean now.
It's like these little speed bumps that you hit, but they're not speed bumps, they're slow bumps. It's just like... It slows down the pace of the movie, and then there's some great film going on, and then the movie slows down, and then there's some great film. And it's generally the biggest complaint you ever see about the movie is sometimes it's just like, Why am I staring at Deckard sitting on a couch drinking? Mm-hmm. Okay, you can stop the shot now.
Yeah.
No, you can stop the shot now. What's going on with these other... Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, there's the fact of the matter is that Ridley Scott tried to make this movie a bit of his Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
You get these long, drawn-out shots. Like in Citizen Kane, you get long shots of just, of Mr. Kane hanging out, doing nothing at all, just filing paperwork. In this movie, the same thing, where you get, Deckard just sleeping on his piano, or looking at a picture, or stuff like that. It has no real bearing onto...
Yeah, until the end of that scene when he picks up that photo and goes and examines it in the machine with the most amazing image resolution ever conceived by man.
Even though it's on a CRT and...
I know! He fed it into a VCR and it scanned a 3x4 image?
Yeah, basically.
And zoomed in on something the size of, I don't know, maybe a 16th of an inch by a 16th of an inch and got a full-res picture of a girl's head. And it's like, pardon? Sure, 4 years from now I'll believe it. Why not?
Yeah.
But that's really the only thing about the movie. And it's not even a personal complaint. It's generally the hardest part about getting people to enjoy and experience this movie.
That's fair. That would be the hardest part for that I'm sure.
Is there anything that grinds your gears about it, or is a stick in the mud, or something that you always have to nitpick about?
Yeah, actually,
here we go.
Yeah, just a small one, actually. Just, the character of FJ.
Really?
Yeah, I like him. He's good. But, there's a part of his character that I find just doesn't really... I understand what he's going for. He has this very much of a fairy tale style of thinking. He's very loose and... kind of, what's the word for it? Eclectic.
Eclectic sort of personality that's...
Yeah, exactly. He's a strange guy. I just wish that... they had a little more chance to let that flourish a bit more, because he's not as eclectic as they could have let him be. He's a little muted, but you're supposed to see his weird nature and the way he makes dolls and other robots walk around and that kind of stuff.
I don't know if there was I don't know where else we could have gone with it, really.
Yeah.
But I really find him an interesting character just to begin with. He can't leave Earth, he can't go to Mars because he's sick.
Yep.
He won't make the trip, or he won't last when he gets there, so they're not going to invest in getting them there.
Exactly, yeah.
So he lives in a block in the city that is almost completely abandoned.
Yep.
He has an entire apartment building to himself.
He does.
I couldn't imagine just trying to find an apartment in a major city in the States, like New York or Los Angeles or what have you. That itself is insane to me.
Yeah, sure.
But he has a whole building to himself, and he clones himself pint-sized friends.
Yeah, he does.
It's really strange. And I love the line. What is it when he says when he comes in? Now I'm not going to be able to remember, but the animatronic or the synthetic people reply, home again, jiggity jig.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember what he says when he comes in, but I love their reply. It made me laugh out loud the first time I ever heard it. It was ridiculous.
They do some good things there with that character. Just I wanted them. It's a weird line they need to walk, because I find that they could have gone a little further with him, but they. At the same time, you don't want to go so far to make him just really fucking weird. Yeah,
and you don't want him to be too much of a focus, right? He's not the main point of the story. The main point of the story is Deckard and the replicants. Mm-hmm. That's the main thing.
Yep. Sure. Yeah, also, I just also find it a little weird that they found him in that way. Is it really stated that this was finding... FJ purposeful, or
when they went to the eye world and they found the guy that made their eyes, the guy in the ice suit,
right? Yes,
because they were trying to find a way of seeing Mr. Tyrell.
Yes,
and they went to him thinking he could get them, and he's like, I just work in this office, I just make eyes, and they get them from me. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, who can get us in? And they were like, FJ. And he said FJ, and they interrogated him, stripped his suit, and then he froze to death. In one of the cuts, you actually see him die, being a frozen popsicle, because Deckard finds him.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
Deckard finds him. He's frozen solid inside the iWorld store, which is a hilarious name for a store. They go and find FJ specifically so they can get into the Tyrell Corporation.
Okay.
Which, it's interesting the whole way that their whole thing in the movie is them trying to break into the Tyrell Corporation.
Yeah.
But you never see the classic version of that happening now, which is the villains picking up guns with this slick plan to this beaten music and kicking down a door, or going in through the elevator, or landing on the roof and stealing whatever it is, and then they're gone, right? And it's just like that. That's not this movie. This movie is, it's really hard to break into a building, guys. Do you know how hard it is to break into a building? Especially when you don't know your surroundings.
That's true.
It's really hard.
Yes, that's why they need a man on the inside to get them in.
Exactly. That's it, man.
Yeah, true. All right, so good things.
The whole thing, the whole movie is just beautiful.
It's one of those classic movies that we have a hard time. Like it's like what I just gave you, but the FJ thing is just nitpicky at best.
Yeah.
So at the same time,
well, that's exactly it. The only things that are you could consider being wrong with the movie are just situationally based at best.
Yeah.
Right? But as far as the good, is like one of the things I really love about this movie is the special effects. All of the practical effects in this movie is the long shots, the models in it. Like, I love modeling and stuff, and the ones in this movie are just phenomenal, right?
Yep.
I can't remember if it's some of the same people that worked or ended up working on all the other super big special practical effect movies like Alien and everything else.
Oh yeah,
I think there's some of the same people worked on the same films just because of the style.
Yeah, a lot of the guys actually worked in the same, like they worked on Terminator and that kind of stuff as well too. So, yeah. A lot of the same dudes that worked on those really big like sci-fi action movies.
Small pool.
Yeah,
small pool of amazing people.
Yeah, very talented.
But no, the special effects in this movie are done really well, and the way they're presented is shot amazingly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And something that's really neat about this is that this movie is still used to teach people how effects can be shot.
Yep.
Because some of these buildings are not even connected. They're on different tables across a room, but because you angle the table right and you put 2,000 lights in the right position, it makes it look like they're side by side in a city, right? And
yeah,
you get that great perspective shift, and it's really quite cool.
Yeah, it's the same thing with like that shot that there's a great shot in the first Lord of the Rings movie when Gandalf visits Frodo.
Yeah.
And those tables are not anywhere near each other.
Oh no, they're like, what, 4 or 5 feet away from each other?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But because of the perspective, and that's the thing, like this movie uses those same qualities where like it gives you a lot of really big sets of miniatures to like make one
bigatures.
big thing. Yeah. Or even like a lot of the matte paintings in this movie as well. Like they look very alive and real. Yep. Just because of the way they're shot and lit.
Yeah. The Lord of the Rings comparison is actually really great, and a lot of people are I'm gonna ruin Lord of the Rings a little bit here. The next time you go to watch it, in the first movie, when it does the panning shot of Weathertop, it looks like garbage.
Really?
Because it's a digital model sitting on top of a real hill.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I watch that movie now, I'm like, that looks like garbage.
Yeah, yeah. No,
and it's like, it's because it was an outdoor shot, and it's almost impossible to make a big outdoor shot look like that look real if it's all one model. You either have to do it all digital or do the blend, and when you do the blend, after a few years, it gets dated.
It does.
That's the problem with digital technology. But
yeah, that's why when they did the second movie within Lord of the Rings, they actually made Helm's Deep out of a model.
Oh yeah,
yeah, blended that way.
Yeah,
but yeah, beyond that. So, are you done with the?
Oh, you can do one. I'll think of another one for sure.
All right, cool.
No problem, man.
All right, good. Yeah. So for me, the best things with this movie. I guess beyond the fact that it influenced my entire life in some respect.
You're a Blade Runner?
I wish I was.
You're going to run around hunting replicants? I believe Cora is a replicant.
Yeah, probably. That dog's replicant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bird next door that might be as well.
Yeah, probably so. I'm watching him. I got my eye on him.
You got your eye on him?
Yeah, I'll give him the
Voight Comp.
Voight Comp test. Yeah.
Oh man, the Voight Comp test.
You see a turtle, you flip it over. Why'd you do it? I don't know. I just want to let. Yeah. So. Yeah. So this movie. My favorite thing in this movie is actually the way it handles the Rachel Deckard relationship.
Yeah,
because they have a relationship where they do fall in love with each other, but at the same time, like it's a weird thing where they have they give you hints that, Deckard is like, oh, maybe he's human, or maybe he's a replicant. But at the same time, we know that Rachel is a replicant.
Yeah.
And he is a Blade Runner, and his whole duty is to kill replicants who are on Earth. That's all he has to do.
Yeah. But he doesn't want to do it.
Doesn't want to do it. Like, for first off, she saves his life during a fight with Leon.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, there are a lot of other reasons why he wouldn't actually kill her. And it's interesting that he spends his life killing replicants and going after them. But this is the latest generation of them, the Nexus 6.
Yeah.
And there's a point where he's kind of like, now that he's actually dealing with this replicant and spending time with her and figuring out the fact that, these replicants might as well just be humans, just shorter lifespan.
They have these implanted memories, but they've extrapolated on them in an independent way.
Yeah.
So it's like any other person now. They've developed their own mind. Like, they haven't been programmed to act a certain way. They're actually doing it because they think it's what they should be doing. Yeah,
exactly. And when I said the fight is basically between Asimov and Dick at this point, because like in this movie, in this world, the Nexus 6 androids, like the replicants, now are actually, they're more human than, let's say, in iRobot, for instance. Like those are still androids and robots, sure, but they all look the same.
Yeah.
So there's no telling who's different besides Sonny. But in this movie, like each android is very much different, and they give them a different look. They give them a different way of speaking, way of thinking. They're all very like for instance, like you would assume that Rachel and Pris, per se, would have the same memories because they're based off of Tyrell's daughter or nieces.
Yeah.
So they probably have the same memories, sure, but they use them in different ways. Like Pris is she's an ex.
She's an assassin.
Yeah, assassin. I believe also ex. No, that was I'm thinking the other one. Zora. There we go.
Zora. Yeah.
She was actually a prostitute bot. But so Pris was an assassin. So you would assume that Rachel would have the same programming in that case, but she doesn't. What Rachel is very much different. We don't really even know what she was used for.
I can't. Oh no, Rachel was just. She was just the latest model. She was an experiment, so it was kind of like she was Tyrell's like secretary / personal assistant or whatever.
Basically, yeah. So basically, like she's a personal assistant kind of thing. So, but at the same time, probably would have the same programming in some sense. So
she's just developed differently, right?
She's developed differently.
Yeah.
The thing, like she has lived her life, and she's given a life, for a few years to really let herself grow into a person, and that's where this movie walks that line of like, are they a person or aren't they?
Yep.
And this movie jumps far more over it than like an iRobot does, and says these are people in this case because at the end. Spoiler alert, because this movie's...
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, no. But at the end, when damn it, Rutger Hauer's character.
You're having a hard time with this one, aren't you, man?
I have bad names anyway.
Roy Batty.
Roy Batty. When Roy actually saves Deckard near the end, despite wanting to kill him the entire time he's there, is a very human thing to do.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a very human thing to do. I think he's just changed his mind.
Well, yeah.
He's grown, right? At that point, he's either... Again, this is a big division on interpretation of like what's going on, but one is like he's grown and he's like, maybe I don't just have to murder everyone. Yeah. And number two is maybe he'll remember and tell someone, or three, he recognizes that Deckard is actually a replicant.
Oh, could be that too, yeah. Could be. But at the same time, like, Roy would still, being a combat replicant / tactical replicant, he would have the foresight to really say, if he wanted an enemy dead, he could have just killed him. Like, no matter if Deckard was a replicant or not, he wouldn't really care. Well, not that he wouldn't care. He wouldn't, wouldn't really make the distinction necessary to him.
Yeah.
Because, he still killed the girl that he loved and that kind of stuff. So, there's that thing. But in the end, Deckard is spared by the enemy. So there is that.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to watch the way replicants work in this world and the way they actually kind of play out, because they really are perceived as more human than like
Human than human.
Human than human.
Yeah, it's the branding.
Yeah.
Tyrell Corporation, more human than human. We're also a corporation.
Yeah, exactly. But there's also the fact that, like, when you look at the replicants, like, the replicants are a little more accurate to how a person is in some ways.
How a person's expected to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're all tall, pronounced features, beautiful people, doing lifestyles that are sometimes fantasized about and sometimes, like, given prestige. Like, being in the military is, fairly prestigious for a lot of people that are not in the military. It's like, oh, wow, you were in the military? That's great.
Yep.
It's weird. Like, they're also, like, just grabbing the jobs that they can. Hence, at the start of the film being a trash worker, or is it Leon's job? It's, I think he just works in waste disposal.
Oh,
he works at waste disposal at the Tyrell Corporation. That's his job, which isn't very, respectable or anything, but...
No.
So, long story short, there's a lot of great stuff going on in this movie. A lot of different side stories. Almost every character has some relationship paired off with every other character that's a main focus of the story. It's really quite good.
If you want more about what I'm speaking about, you could easily find any essay online or anywhere else that depicts this. There's like hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Like, this movie has been like...
It's been reviewed up the yang-yang.
Yeah,
like, we're doing it because we love it, not because we have any new kind of brilliant insight into Blade Runner.
God, no. That's the thing. Like, there's no way... Like, new insight into Blade Runner. It's like getting new insight into Shakespeare. Yeah. You know?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, what do you want to shoot next? You want to do some trivia?
Let's be trivia time.
Sweet.
Time trivia or something. I don't know. Trivia time. It's time for trivia.
So, I was poking around on a couple different sites, and it was like, I guess at one point, Sean Young, the actress that plays Rachel, the scene when Deckard pushes her to get her to back away from the door, and she bangs into the glass and she gets that angry look, she actually, like, he pushed her a little too hard and she actually, like, banged her head on the glass and was actually pissed off at Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And then immediately the next scene is, you have to kiss him. It's just like, yee. So, I thought that was kind of funny.
Yep. Kind of big ones that, although Philip K. Dick saw only the opening 20 minutes of the film, prior to his death on March 2nd, 1982, he was actually extremely impressed with the film.
Yeah. Yeah, I read that too, that he only got to see a little bit of it, but he loved what they had done so far.
Yeah.
One of the bigger pieces of trivia that almost anyone that's ever watched the movie and read up on it is the whole Rutger Hauer speech at the end, the speech he makes to Deckard. That whole thing was completely ad-libbed.
All those moments in the Will Be Lost in Time, like Tears in the Rain.
Yeah. It's just that little speech is actually really evocative, and it automatically generates an image of what the universe is like outside of Earth. You automatically get an idea. It's like, oh man, we actually can make it all the way to Orion. Like, Jesus, what's going on here?
Yeah,
right. So it's really cool that way.
This is kind of an ironic one, because considering how many director's cuts and final cuts this movie there are, but Ridley Scott has been quoted as saying that this is the most personal and complete film he's ever done.
Yep. Which is saying a lot, because he's got a lot of fairly decent films under his belt. One or two anyways.
One or two. Alien.
Yep.
Other things. He's kind of a big wig actor. Less so these days, because people have been angry at a lot of his films. But back in the day, he was the shit. Still kind of is, so.
This one's kind of funny. When Deckard brings the scale to the sort of genetic street market, and looks at it gets the lady to check it under the microscope, that's actually a bud of marijuana.
What?
Yeah, it's a piece of ganja that's under the microscope, because the snake scale, I guess, doesn't look like that, and so they needed something to look dynamic, and someone was like, take a look at this, I guess. Just like, sure, okay.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. How long was the first cut of this movie there, dude?
The first cut?
The first cut, the original cut. It never got aired. What was the original cut of this?
Oh, the original one. I have no sweet clue, actually.
4 hours.
What?
4 hours.
Jesus, fuck. So it's as long as Titanic?
Yeah. Well, no, Titanic's only 3 hours and 30.
So longer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, like the version we watched was only about 2 hours long, so imagine all the cutting they had to do for that film.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of fucking cuts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of unused... Man, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen one... I have actually never seen one of, like, the giant remastered versions.
I've seen the longer version of this. I can't remember which one it is, but there's 7 different publicly released versions of this film. There's 7 different cuts you can get.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes,
that's
true.
That's a lot. Normally there's like 2 or 3 versions of a film you can get. The only person that does more cuts is probably George Lucas.
Yeah. Oh, this is a fun one. Roy Batty, Rutger Hauer's character, was told to meld the word father and fucker.
Oh, yeah. So
when he speaks to Tyrell.
Yeah. So depending on what cut of the movie they did, they could edit it a little bit and get it past the ratings board.
Fucker.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really funny.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Any more trivia you have to share?
Other than the fact that just some of the characters that are in this are amazing, like, it was a long time between the last time I watched this and now.
Yeah.
And the last time. Let me restart that sentence.
Okay.
The last time I had watched this.
Sure.
And when I had rewatched Battlestar Galactica, there was a gap there. And it didn't occur to me that the character that was playing the other detective was Edward James Olmos.
Oh, okay.
So when I saw Edward James Olmos, I'm like, I recognize him. And I couldn't for the life of me figure out what it was. And then I just happened to randomly watch Blade Runner one evening, and I was like, oh my friggin' God. Look, it's Odama with a goatee. It's evil Odama with a pimp cane.
With a pimp cane.
Yeah. And I love, I have to say that I love how he dresses in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like a detective that could just walk from the detective office into Pimp Row and just be okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean, yeah.
He's got the whole street thing going. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
Yeah. There's some pretty amazing, like, details, again, like how impactful this movie was. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's details you don't see that you can read up on, like some of the names of the magazine. I really recommend going and looking this up if you got the time or the interest. But magazines that are on the newsstands, like on the street, are all titled magazines, and there's like several different ones, and they're all published by different people that are actually like actors' names and the directors' names and everything else. Like, there's space porn magazines, and then there's like all these other magazines about juries accidentally getting executed during a murder trial. Mm-hmm. It's like, what? There's so many little details that aren't even seen. It's just the whole depth of immersion that they were going for was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, they built a world, first off, then they put a story inside of it.
Yep.
Which is probably why Ridley Scott really regarded this as his most complete film, because he built.
If I'm not mistaken, I don't think Ridley Scott actually read the book.
I believe that's the case. Yeah, I think he might have actually read it during production at some point.
Something like that, but I'm pretty sure he was handled a story idea and went from there.
Yeah, exactly. I know they're also making Blade Runner 2.
Yeah,
soon. Also starring Harrison Ford. So,
but what is it? It's going to be like 30 days later. Like,
I guess so. Like, that's the thing you can.
If he is a replicant, which they've stated that he is, also spoiler alert, then he's got, like, how long left? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm interested in seeing what the movie is going to be. I never judge a movie till I see it. And I always go into movies that are based off existing properties with zero expectations.
Yep,
right?
I agree.
I think we had this discussion before. Like, I went into Prometheus and enjoyed Prometheus because the quote from Ridley Scott was, "This is not an alien movie. It is in the same universe. That's it." I'm like, oh, okay. So it has nothing to do with aliens. So I have zero expectation. I went in and watched it. I'm like, it was okay.
Until the end credits scene.
Well, until the end credits scene. But again, that tie-in was more of a tie-in with... Yeah. And
there's some stuff.
Again, that quote was from the start of the production, and the film obviously changed a little bit during production. But we're not here to talk about Prometheus.
No, I know. But yeah.
I enjoyed the movie.
So, anything you have to say before you rate this movie?
It's amazing. You need to watch it. I really recommend watching it early in the day. Don't sit down at the end of a night and watch it because you'll probably just fall asleep because there are dry spells. But I really recommend like getting a few people together and watching it and having like an open dialogue while you watch it because there's so much cool stuff. Yeah, it's almost one of those movies you have to watch twice as well.
Yeah, I fully agree. This would be my 5th viewing at this point too.
Yeah.
So.
I can't remember the name of the cut that I prefer. It's not the director's cut, the one we just watched. I like the one that's a bit longer, to be honest.
That's fair.
I'll try and figure out what it is before we cut this off. But is there anything else you want to add, dude?
I would actually. I almost recommend the version that I have, which is only about 2 hours long, because it packs the best stuff in there, but leaves out the stuff that doesn't really. It's not that anything has to be left out.
Yeah,
it's just that this movie doesn't really need to be the full 3.5 hours long that it originally was going to be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, if you just want to...
But at the same time, like, if you're a stickler for this world, and if you want that kind of collection aspect to it, then fuck yeah, go and get that giant collector's cut. Like, I kind of want to get it myself. I know I'd probably never watch it because I prefer this version. Mm-hmm. But, like...
yeah, like, definitely your first time viewing this one's pretty good, and if you like it, watch the collector's edition one.
Or even if you want to... If you're a collector as well, go and get the... even... It's almost rare now, the actual theatrical version of the movie.
Yeah, I think the only way you can get it is through like digital rental things.
Yeah, I believe so.
Because I don't know if it's iTunes or one of the big digital release ones, Hulu or whatever it is, has it. It's the regular theatrical edition, which is a strange cut of the film, but
it's a weird one where they actually try and make Deckard human, and they also.
Because they cut the whole unicorn dream out, don't they?
They cut that out entirely, yeah. There's also a bunch of stuff where they have Harrison Ford doing a voiceover over top of
right, I forgot about that. Oh, God.
Because when the producers saw the film, they went, oh, this movie's boring.
Yeah.
Add some talking. So the moviegoers will actually have something to do.
And the screen tests with people where we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, if you get the one with voiceovers, it's probably not the best one.
No, I fully agree. And there's a reason why. I actually compare this movie a lot to... The Maltese Falcon, the original book.
Oh, yeah.
Because that book was one of the first detective novels to not be in first person.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's in third person.
I remember the original black and white film because that's what I did, but I never actually read the book. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, the book is actually interesting because in Maltese Falcon, it's all based on the third person instead of the typical hardboiled detective, first person thing. So yeah. And this movie takes that aspect as well, which is interesting because they had to actually observe this detective do his thing instead of having him tell you what he's doing. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of cool. That's probably why Ridley Scott did it, because it's like, do you want to, I could just tell you what's going on, but this way to, observe, and you become the detective yourself in some way. Like, now you're watching this person, you're on a stakeout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you got a rating for this, Governor?
Yep. What do you, Kenny? God. I'm going to give this movie 4 grizzled, hard-boiled future cops out of 4.
Yeah? I'm going to give it 6 PVC raincoats.
Yep.
Out of 6 dancing snake ladies.
That sounds good. Works for me. That's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's a fantastic movie, and just... Yeah, you need to watch it. It's so good.
It's hard to beat this film for many, many reasons. Like I said, if you like the futures, if you like cyberpunk stuff,
if you like detective stories, if you just like detective stories,
if you like detective stories, it's a good one. Like this movie for me is right up there as one of the best detective stories ever depicted.
Yep.
And there's a lot out there. There's a lot of really good ones out there. There's a lot of really bad ones out there too. But this movie is.
I agree with you, and my taste in detective stories is completely different from yours.
Yeah,
I like the old black and white sort of comedic detective stories.
Yeah, I like those too, but at the same time, I like my hard-boiled stuff.
Yeah, you love your hard-boiled stuff more, right?
Yeah.
But very cool. Anyways, fantastic movie. Love it. Watch it again.
Yeah, I'd agree. So we'll see you. Are we going to end Cyberpunk Month? Are we going to end Cyberpunk Month with this?
I would like to do the other movie that we talked about.
Yeah, sure.
So why don't we try and do that very soon? And that way we can maybe squeeze it in at the start of the month as sort of a double thing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, well, tune in next week where we don't end Cyberpunk Month. now, but probably some point this week. I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows?
It's a mystery.
It's a mystery. See you guys.
See you guys.
Say it. You are correct. You win.
Hello, everybody. This is Tristan.
This is Ken.
And we're here to tell you today to follow us on many, many things.
You can follow us on iTunes.
You can follow us on Everything Is Fine, Nothing Is Ruined at Libsyn.com,
You can follow us on Twitter.
which is at eifnir. You can follow us on Everything Is Fine, Nothing Is Ruined at Tumblr.com or Tumblr,
That's too long. You can follow us on Podomatic.
which is Everything Is Fine, Nothing Is Ruined at Podomatic.com,
Still too long. You can follow us on Patreon.
which is pretty simple, patreon.com/eifnir.
All right. And then soon we are working on getting a YouTube channel. You can follow us on the Cube.
That's a tube. It's tube. YouTube.
Oh, it was a typo.
You go through a tube.
So what's YouTube then?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
Well,
we're going to be on there under YouTube, I guess, .com/Everything Is Fine, Nothing Is Ruined.
yeah, if listening to our audio tracks is too convenient for you, you can go to YouTube and watch our video, which is going to be
An
a
audio
picture of all
track.
of our sexy, sexy faces.
And you can see us there on YouTube.
You'll be watching us, we'll be watching you, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Be a big old showdown.
Yep.
So follow us on whatever is the most convenient for you, or inconvenient if you like to play on hard mode.
That's right. Yep. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys, or whatever you do with the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Listen, taste, touch, or smell the podcast as you wish.